what a moment for Halifax Rugby League.
Austin is through and Warrington dominating. Great try for the Robins. Huddersfield Giants take the points home. It's Vincent! It's a poor lad. That is one sensational try.
Look out with a drop goal. Leeds gather round in jubilation.
It's hit the post. It's Wellesby. Wellesby might have got the try. St Helens are champions once again.
Now then, it's grand final week. It's a huge week in the men's game, the women's. We've got the £1 million game and we've got the playoff as well in League One. To build up to all these fantastic matches, delighted to be joined by, well, the voices of Rugby League for 25 years for most of us. Eddie Hemmings alongside me and technologically advanced Stevo. How you doing, Stevo?
Yeah, I'm good, but it takes me a long time to sort it out. All this technology is way beyond me.
Can you try and get yourself in focus? You look like the man on the moon.
Well, it's good to see you.
Honest.
Albeit on Skype, it's still good to see you. But you're going to be at Old Trafford on Saturday, so we'll meet on Saturday, which I'm really looking forward to. But it's going to be a great week for Rugby League.
It certainly is, and I think that the only disappointment is the fact that a lot of people are saying they do not want to go to Old Trafford. They'd rather watch it on TV. The Rugby Football League and Super League have got to sort this out. They've got to make sure that this event turns into what we call a great event. Not just the grand final, but make it so that at the start of the season, we actually start buying tickets. I know the RFL and Super League, they try their best to get ticket sales going, but they've got to attach it to something. You've got to make sure that if you have a season ticket for your club, then you get a better deal to get to the grand final. That's simple in my eyes.
Fingers crossed, we'll have a decent-sized crowd on Saturday.
Well, hopefully. I mean, if you think about the Magic Weekend match between the Saints and the Catalan Dragons, it was absolutely sensational.
Cracker, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, Saints had it won, and 10 minutes away from full time. The Dragons got back, and then we got the golden point drop goal from Maloney. Sensational stuff. And I thought then, well, there we go. This is the time now where you say, if, as looked likely, because they finished first and second in the table, they get to Old Trafford, come along and see Chapter 2. I mean, he's right. You know, the clubs have got to take a little bit of responsibility about the sale of Old Trafford. This is the biggest event of the Rugby League year, bar none. I include the Challenge Cup final in that now. You know, when the Wembley weekend disappeared because of the reconstruction of Wembley Stadium, the Challenge Cup, well, it went on the back burner. Fortunately for the Rugby League and Super League, up came the grand final. 2015, it was a capacity. We were at full capacity. I think, if memory serves me correctly, the clubs got an incentive to sell tickets for the grand final all season. They got a cashback deal. Now then, why are we not doing that now? I'm sure that when the two governing bodies come back together, somebody will sit alongside somebody and say, listen, we have got to get the grand final back to where it was.
Right, someone's watching this now. Tickets are available. Sell it then.
OK.
St Helens versus Catalan Dragons. Sell it.
Easy. St Helens are going for history. 3 in a row has never been done before in Super League. Catalan Dragons have been the team of the year, just behind the Saints. Saints have been brilliant. Catalan have played some fantastic stuff. We've spoken for many, many years about the French Gallic flair of Rugby League. They've got the Man of Steel. They've got the Coach of the Year. You've got St Helens who have, you know, dominated all the teams with the exception of the Catalan Dragons. This is going to be the best game of the season, bar none. Get down to Old Trafford. Let's make it an occasion. Let's make it an event. You know, put the last 2 years behind us. We've got the crowds back. It's back at its spiritual home. What more do we want?
Right, thanks so much. See you next week. No, but seriously.
That's the attitude we should be taking.
It is going to be a fantastic game. Stevo, it's the best two teams this year, isn't it? We're not just saying this to try and build this up. This is the best two teams by a long way in the grand final. Spot on.
And I've got to congratulate the fact that Catalans took the league leaders trophy. Eddie's already mentioned that the Man of Steel, the coach of the year. So they haven't got there on sheer luck. They've got there because they're a good side. And perhaps there's one little thing that just worries me slightly. Is Sam Tompkins going to be 100% fit or even 90% fit? A lot will rest on that. He wasn't become the man of steel for nothing. He has been outstanding this year, and Catalan, they need it, especially in a grand final like this.
Well, interestingly enough, he didn't say last night on the award show.
It was no definitive answer, was it?
It was, well, I hope to be there. I'm giving it until the very last possible moment, which he said just 7 days ago, actually. But he did say last week, if I've got to cut my leg off and put a wooden leg on, I'm going to be there. He didn't say that last night. He didn't go that far, but he did say, if I'm not there, we have the team capable of beating St Helens, which he has to say. But he's right. Stevo's right. They need Sam Tompkins.
He's been outstanding this year and much deserved the Steve Prescott Man of Steel.
Absolutely. I mean, 2012 he last won it, didn't he? Then he went to the NRL in Australia. He didn't have the greatest 2 years down under, did he, Stevo? And when he came back, he struggled a bit. But boy, he's gone to the south of France. I mean, no wonder he loves the south of France. He loves the wine that's on show in the south of France. This fella, he's looking forward to Toulouse getting into Super League next year. He'll have 2 trips at least down to the Riviera. But I mean, Sam has embraced the whole shebang about going down to the south of France, living there with his family, and playing the great game.
He's a great player, and as you say, Eddie, he had a little bit of an off season, maybe for 2 or 3 when he first came back from New Zealand, but he has been outstanding. You know, you don't win an award like the Man of Steel for nothing, and a lot will depend on that. Now, Morg is a very good replacement, but it's not, in my mind, a full back. He's a half-back. And they're getting away with it, and they have got away with it of Catalan, but it's a little bit dodgy under the high ball. And I can assure you that St Helens will be hoping, obviously, that Sam Tompkins won't make it and that Morg will have to take that position because they'll just kick high balls, bomb him all day.
Well, let's just leave the build-up to the grand final for a moment because we've obviously got some big news out of Wigan today. We've got a new head coach in Matt Peat. Sean O'Loughlin's going to be the assistant, along with Lee Breers as well. And Sean Wayne is head of leadership and management director. First of all, talk about that whole team they've put together at Wigan.
Well, it's an inspirational team on paper, isn't it? I mean, Matty Peat has been in charge of bringing through the juniors at Wigan for the last decade.
Great juniors.
Sean Wayne is a great advocate of youngsters. We saw what he did with them when he was the head coach. Lee Breers, likewise, and Sean O'Loughlin. I mean, you couldn't get much better than Sean O'Loughlin, who's been at Wigan as long as anybody. Great team on paper. The one thing I am delighted about, is that Sean is coming back, albeit on a part-time basis to begin with until the World Cup ends in 2022, and then we'll see what transpires. But also that we haven't lost another great rugby league brain to the dark side, to rugby union, because I'm sure that there were clubs lining up to try and get Lee Breers to go and coach in rugby union.
There was.
I'm convinced of that. Well, there you go. I'm pleased that you've confirmed that. Lee is a rugby league player through and through. When I retired, I said that Lee, for me, pound for pound, was the best player I had seen in Super League in my time in the commentary box. And that was a pretty big call, you know, because you've got the likes of Andy Farrell, Paul Sculthorpe, Kevin Sinfield. For me, and I think Stevo will agree, Lee, pound for pound, Stevo, one of the best halfbacks, one of the best organisers that Super League has ever seen. And if he can turn that into advice at Wigan, Wigan have got a winner.
They certainly have. He's a great player, and he's turning out to be a great coach as well. Not many players can sort of take the atmosphere and the pressure that you get on a coach. And I'm with you, Eddie. I'm glad that he didn't go to rugby union because I do know for sure that a few rugby union clubs were happy to have him on board. And I'm glad that it's staying for rugby league. I was disappointed when Sinfield went to the dark side. I didn't like that at all. I thought that Sinfield would have been a great ambassador for our game. But apart from that, we've got another one because Breers is top class. And let's face it, there are 3 key positions, fullback, hooker and halfback when it comes to organising in a game of rugby league. And Lee Breers will bring a lot to Wigan. next year.
Sure he will. I mean, Sean Long is doing the same for Leeds, but in the background alongside Richard Agar. Martin Gleeson, of course, we've lost him to Rugby Union. He has. I mean, the list. If you look in the books, the list of Rugby League players and coaches now in Rugby Union, it's endless. It's endless. They have tapped into the brains of the Rugby League coaching fraternity, and thank God they've kept hold of Lee, and he's going to Wigan. And I know. I texted him earlier on. I know he's excited about the challenge. He really is. He's thrilled to bits to be going to Wigan.
What about Wigan and Eddie? Obviously, beaten grand finalists in one of the greatest grand finals last year. Got off to a great start this season, then it just all went wrong. Can this team get Wigan back to where they belong?
I think they probably can. I mean, Adrian Lamb. You can't say he's been a failure, but he hasn't reached the heights that... I mean,
something went wrong mid... All right, I know they got injuries.
Sean Wayne left behind a team that won the grand final. The only way from there is down.
Something went wrong mid-season,
and there was major injuries. Bevan French, huge loss for him. Been fiddling about all over the place with the full... I mean, Zach Hardacre has signed on for next year as well. They have an immediate problem there because Zach wants to play at fullback. Bevan French will be back from injury next year. There's the first dilemma that Lee Breers, Sean O'Loughlin, Matty Peat, Sean Wayne have got to sort out. But Wigan have always... I tell you, we were talking earlier on, Steve and I think there are 5 or 6 ex-Wigan players playing for the Catalan Dragons on Saturday against the Saints. Wigan have got a conveyor belt of young players. And I think with Matty Peat...
So is that why Matt Peat's got the job?
Well, I think that Matty Peat, Lee Breers and Sean Wayne, I think that, Steve-O, to me, that is the future of Wigan. Wigan fans might have to be patient for another 12 months or so, but they are built... Look at the young kids that have played there this season. Remember Leeds in 1996 when Super League first started? It spurned the golden era at the Leeds Rhinos. These appointments... And this moment, they could look back on it and say, OK, 2021 was a bit of a disaster for us because we didn't get to the grand final, we didn't get to a Challenge Cup final, but look what we've done in 2022 under the new regime. What do you think?
Well, Steve, you mentioned Leeds there. I mean, Leeds nilled Wigan twice, in 3 weeks, including a playoff?
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy in regards to whether shall we say, the departing coach was good enough. But you've got to look at it overall in the fact that there was a lot of injuries. They were trying to bring some youngsters through their injury sort of situation, and it takes a long time. As Eddie mentioned, that the likes of Farrell that retired and all that sort of thing. It's a transition period. But I'm pleased that they've given the coaching job a man that has been involved with bringing in youngsters into the team for many, many years. That is a great advantage.
So, to sum up this section, and we'll go back to talking about the grand final, you think it's good news, a good move by Wigan today then, Steve-O?
Oh, it's fantastic news. I know a lot of the fans, they'll be saying, well, look, it's great to get Sean back on a part-time situation. I know that Wigan were looking down in Australia to get someone to coach down there. It's often been the way, especially with Wigan and St. Helens, that they've gone down and recruited an Australian, and let's face it, these Australian coaches, they're way ahead of what we have sometimes in this country. But as I say, it's this transition that'll go over, and what they've done is that given this new coach the experience that they will need.
Yeah, Sean Wayne behind him.
Yeah.
He will be the power behind
Sean
the
was sat in here a couple of weeks ago, and his passion for the game and Wigan is obvious. And obviously he didn't want to walk away from England in the World Cup yet.
No, and that's a good compromise. I'm surprised that the Super League clubs have allowed that to happen, if indeed they had a say. But, it's always been the England coach gets a little bit of the information that all the other coaches don't get about the players who've got personal problems, injury problems, long-term this, that and the other. So they will trust Sean to manage that properly. I remember in 2018 when he retired, and I sat with him at Old Trafford. But he didn't retire. He left Wigan and he went to Scottish Rugby Union. Thank goodness there's another one who's come back. But I said to him, what was it like when you told your players you were going? And Sean Wayne is a big, gruff Wiganer, He filled up. he was emotionally scarred by the fact that he was leaving his players. And a lot of the players who are there now and playing in the first team, Sean will have brought to the club 3, 4, 5 years ago. And the Godfather is back to look after them.
Well, that was in the build-up to the grand final 3 years ago, wasn't it? Let's continue our build-up to the grand final this year. And let's remind ourselves how the two teams got to the Old Trafford showpiece.
The ball is hoisted by Drinkwater. Dagger couldn't take it. Garcia picks up. Garcia gets the first try of the night, or does he? Ben Garcia, the captain, he's come back from a broken arm, does just that. Here is Jordan Abdul. Abdul's pass, and it's picked off, and it's picked off by Drinkwater. Has he got the pace? Has he got the pace? I reckon he has. Josh Drinkwater has stolen that ball, and he has gone all the way. Jordan Abdul's pass. Sean Kenny Dowell! And Hull KR hit back.
No surprise for me that they've been a bit jittery, but that high kick, attacking.
Oh, Dagger's put it down, and Morg is going to pounce on it. Will Dagger couldn't take the kick. They're not out of the woods yet because they're going to go to the other wing. Tompkins on and on to Fouad Yaha. Fouad Yaha will try and use his strength. He will use his strength. Tompkins, Drinkwater, little stab kick through. And Joe Chan is claiming the try. Kane Lynette gets the pass away. Sean Kenny down. Ryan Hall is in. They're inside that Leeds 30 are the Saints. And Lomax quickly on. Coote lobs it over the top. And Grace motoring for the corner. Grace just touches down. Signalled by the referee. Here he goes again. Takes the ball. Offloads to Roby. Roby spinning. Roby. Roby for the line. James Roby. Here is Louis now. Louis to Cruz Leeming. They've had some hope on this side. They've had some hope. And Myler has given them some hope, has he? Richie Myler.
Go free. Play on.
Lomax shot ball. Percival. And Percival bangs that ball down. That is a try.
One.
Quickly on to Coote. Coote shot pass. Nagama. Ken Nagama.
Way. Go to.
Dwyer, change of direction, finds Louis, and Louis gets away from the first challenge. Reece Martin onto Luke Briscoe. Briscoe for the corner, and Briscoe in at the corner. Lomax's hands.
Play that.
The kick is charged down, and it comes up for Percival. Oh, Mark Percival.
3.
He's Grace, and Grace will cut infield. He will leave Leeds trailing in his wake, and he will round off this victory, his second try of the night, and Saints are going to Old Trafford.
There we are. So it's 6 o'clock on Saturday night. It's St Helens going for the hat-trick and the Catalan Dragons in their first final. First of all, Thursday night, what an atmosphere.
Fantastic. There was the red carpet treatment for the Catalan Dragons as they walked into the stadium, flares and people lining the streets. Bear in mind, they love a party in Catalonia. They really do. And in Catalan and Perpignan, exactly the same. They love a do, you know, and the Catalan Dragons provided the best possible send-off to their team for Old Trafford. That was a full house. Now, that's not been done before. That was a full house based on home support. They sold the game to the people of Catalan to go out and support their team. They supported them and the team produced. Fantastic night. It reminded me, going way, way back to the old days of the Bradford Bulls. You know, there is an event before the event. There's a massive party and then all of a sudden mayhem breaks out for 80 minutes on the pitch. They have done a fantastic job, the Catalan Dragons this year, in selling that match out. And there's a lesson for the rest of the Super League clubs as well. Sell your home games out and don't worry about away team coming, away supporters coming. Sell them out.
Stevo?
I think what you've got to look at is the fact that any fan that does not support St Helens will be supporting Catalan. And I urge them all to do that because they will need that lift. As we saw last week, having a record crowd to boost them, to give them that lift that they needed. you know, the build-up, as Eddie was saying, you know, the walk to the stadium, the line the streets. That's what we want. We mentioned it earlier. We've got to make it an event. Down in the south of France, last weekend was an event, and a great event. The only thing that I'm hoping for is, you know, this will be the 24th grand final, and we've only had 4 teams that's won it. And I'd like to see a sea of change. And of course, Catalan, they're in their first grand final. They could possibly do it. It's not going to be easy, but who would have thought that they would have beaten Warrington?
You mean in the Challenge Cup final in 2018?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they came...
year after the £1 million game as well.
Indeed so. Yeah, indeed so. I mean, they have had their success and they flirted with danger and they're back and having on the crest of a wave again. But he's right. We all went to Wembley in 2018 thinking, well, this is it, Warrington's Cup. It'll be coming back, you know, the Golden Gates will be open again and all the spectators will be in front of the town hall and they'll be cheering Warrington home. Catalan took the game to them. They've got to take the... Well, I don't know because I've never played the game. He'll tell you. Catalan have got to take the game to St Helens. We saw in that second semi-final, St Helens were blisteringly good on Friday night.
Relentless.
They absolutely blew Leeds off the park. Grace, Percival, Nagama, the list is endless. Roby, Lomax, Wellesby, Young Player of the Year, Lewis. We can go through an entire team with
You just mentioned Roby.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing as good as ever. So let's hear from the Saints skipper.
James, 3 grand finals in a row, what a special achievement.
Yeah, really special. I think, you know, like you say, 3 in a row, it's not often done, and we've talked about that, and obviously we've kind of been aware of it for a while, do you know what I mean? But it's a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment that goes into getting there, and like I say, so proud of this team to get there again.
And you had to work hard tonight, but your control and game management seemed to just keep you on top of the game throughout.
Yeah, I think we started the better team, probably a bit more energy, got stuck into in defence and seemed to be working, and then just before half time they gathered a bit of momentum, a bit of energy, and probably off a bit of ill discipline from ourselves, but second half we kind of just steadied the ship and got back into our rhythm and scored a few points, which was nice. So yeah, like you say, I think we ultimately were in control of the game for large parts, and it's a sign of a good team, I suppose, when a team like Leeds you can kind of control it and dictate it like that.
It must be an absolute joy for you playing off the back of a set of middles that just consistently get you quick plays and have you on the front foot.
Yeah, definitely. Our middles have been fantastic for a long time now, and the way they are, the way they carry the ball, and they get that quick play of the ball, like you say, I can't ask for any more.
And I guess you know what this next week's like. You're pretty used to this now. Grand final week, you should just be able to take this in your stride.
Yeah, it's always a big week, like you say. You can't get too caught up in it, but lucky to have been a part of it before, so just kind of stay nice and calm and take things as normal as you can, really.
And I can't imagine, however many times you've done it, you ever get bored of nights like tonight.
Yeah, no, you can never get bored of this, and if anything, you probably look back and miss these. You've got to savour it while it's here, while it's last. So yeah, really appreciate nights like tonight.
And you'll get more build-up, as we've just advertised there, 6 o'clock on Friday night. We are live with Paul Sculthorpe and Jamie Peacock. I wonder who Scully will tip up to win the grand final. Right.
Wigan.
Right, James Roby, what a servant he's been. 4 grand finals. Right then, Saints obviously the favourites to make it 3 on a bounce, Eddie.
They are. I mean, I don't know whether you've got the latest odds from Betfred.
About 2-5 Saints.
5-2
Catalans
on.
Catalans are just over 2-1.
Fair enough. Well, Roby, he just epitomises everything that is great about St Helens. What a servant he is. 36 years, going round again, 36 years old, going round again next year. Here we've got one of the greatest hookers that ever played the game with us on Skype. Stevo, I know you are a massive fan of James Roby, aren't you?
I would rate him as the best hooker that I have ever seen. Now, that is a big call because we've had some great players in the past for Great Britain, for England, and of course, but this man just keeps giving. The one thing I'm proud about is the fact that he realised that he doesn't want to get involved with the World Cup next year. He's got one more season at St Helens, and I think that's a very smart move for him. He'd like to go out, and I'm sure they all would at St Helens, to make it 4 grand finals on the trot. but it's a great, great tribute to that man. A great player, the best I have ever seen.
That's a massive call, it really is. I mean, and here's another call you can make now. If St Helens win for the third year in a row, does that make them the greatest club that Super League has ever produced? Because bear in mind what Leeds have done, Bradford, Wigan. Saints, if they win on Saturday, the best that Super League has ever produced.
It's the same amount of grand final wins as Leeds, won't it?
It will be, yeah, but never 3 in a row for Leeds. And mind you, Leeds have beaten them 4 times at Old Trafford, haven't they? The Rhinos. So there you go.
I think you'd have to say, Eddie, that if they do make it 3 on the trot, they will become very similar in many ways, the way that St George, they went on to 9 wins in their grand final down in Australia. It may be even 10, but they have been attributed to being the best ever down under in Australia. So yes, you'd have to say that they will be the best in Super League that we've seen.
And that's coming from a Yorkshireman, Mark. That's not bad, is it? And not as known as being a Leeds Rhinos fanatic, of course.
How do the Catalan Dragons stop them doing a hat-trick then, Stevo?
Their defence has got to be 100%. Down the middle, that's perhaps the weakness that I find in the Catalan side. Sometimes they drop off, especially late in the game, in their defence down the middle. And the likes of Walmsley, who has been in superb fitness and wonderful display of a prop forward. Now, he's the best prop forward I've seen this year, including Australia and New Zealand, because he's not just a battering ram like we see from most of the prop forwards. This guy has got the ability to do a step. He's got a lot of speed, but the most important factor, Walmsley has got this ability to offload. We don't see that from a lot of forwards. A lot of coaches just say, stick it up your jumper and give us that yardage. Quick play the ball and get on with it. But he is the old style prop forward with speed and fitness. And if anybody's thinking about having a bet for the Harry Sunderland Award, man of the match, go for Walmsley. Not many props have won it.
Yeah, and he was outstanding again on Friday night, wasn't he, against
yeah.
Leeds. Well, let's get some build-up from the Catalans and hear from their centre, Dean Ware.
We've had a lot of close games against teams that people thought we should have beat them by a lot of points, but I think just to grind it out and you're watching all the semi-finals and the finals, and even in the NRL, they're very low-scoring games, and come grand final time, it's built on effort and just the little things you can do in the game. They're not big scoring games, but definitely the year's set up for us that if it comes to a close game, we've definitely got players in there that can sort of steer us around and hopefully get that extra point for us when the time's needed. It's been amazing actually. Seeing the progression of some young players that when I was in the NRL with Penrith, you can sort of see a similar build. Definitely here in the Catalans with some of these young guys coming up, Laguerre and Ashton Morg. You see definitely some great talent, and the future of Catalans is in good hands. And the competition down here is sort of building a rugby league, and to have 2 French teams in the finals definitely speaks for itself. And first time I come here, it's been amazing, and I'm definitely enjoying my time here.
Well, they're certainly all enjoying their time in Perpignan at the moment. Right then, prediction time for Saturday night, 6 o'clock.
Well, you won't get either of us, I'm sure, going against St Helens, but my mind always goes back to 2018. And I went, as I say, we all went to Wembley thinking, well, this is Warrington's day for the Challenge Cup. I just hope Catalan Dragons don't have their bubble absolutely burst on Saturday night. I don't think they will. I mean, McNamara is a shrewd coach. He's got the man of steel in Sam Tompkins. He is the coach of the team. So Artur Morg was second in the running for the Young Player of the Year to Jack Welsby. Prediction, a great game, another golden point, 1 point win, and we'll let Saints take it at 5-2-1.
That'd be nice. Steve up.
It's nice to see my old mate just sit on the fence. Eh? I've been saying it all season. Right from the kickoff, St Helens had the squad to win that grand final, and I think they will. There's a lot of problems that Catalan will have to look at. Obviously, we talk about Sam Tompkins. If he plays, he's not going to be 100% fit. And there's also a key player that I don't think has been back to his top fitness as well, is McIlaurin. Now, there are two wonderful positions, fullback and hooker. They've got to control the game as much as possible. But I think both of them have been suffering from an injury, long-term in regard to McIlaurin. And he's done his best to overcome it, but we haven't seen the runs from dummy half that we normally see, the strong play near the try line. In complete opposite, of course, you've got Roby. Roby will also be a key player. We know that. He's wonderful. He makes a decision, throw the dummy, go on his own. I don't think we've seen that from McIlaurin so far this season. So a lot will depend on anybody that's having a bet is, will those two be fit enough?
The other dark horse for the man of the match, which he's already tipped, as Alex Walmsley. How about Morgan Knowles? Morgan Knowles has had an outstanding season. You know, he's one of the best that St Helens have had this year and last year. I mean, he's come on leaps and bounds. So Morgan Knowles, Stevo, for man of the match.
And Rob Burrows going to present the Harry Sunderland Trophy. And at the moment, there's row for Rob going on, isn't there? They're actually going to deliver a match ball. The set-off in Leeds on Monday as well. So well done to all of those who are doing the row for Rob as well.
100 miles. 100 miles there.
I know, in a canoe.
In a canoe.
I know.
Could have put him in that.
Right.
He'd have sunk it.
Some other games. Right, I'm not going to do these games justice because we've run out of time. Apologies. You got Toulouse Featherstone in £1 million game. Very quickly, Steve-O. Toulouse versus Featherstone.
Yeah, well, Toulouse will start favourites, obviously playing on their home turf. But Toulouse has got to realise if they're going to get themselves mixed up in what we call a forward battle, then Featherstone could bring a surprise. They could win that game. Toulouse have to play exactly what they've done all this season. You know, the likes of Ford, organising things. He's a key factor. Getting the ball out wide. They've got the speed. They've got the strength. But if they get mixed up in a brawl of a final, it wouldn't surprise me if Featherstone win.
And then in the League One playoff, Workington versus Doncaster. Good luck to them. And then I'm really looking forward to this on Sunday afternoon, the Betfred Women's Super League final, St Helens versus Leeds. St Helens have already won the Betfred Women's Challenge Cup. Great to see the women's game getting such profile. The semi-finals were live on Sky. Now we're having the final once again live
Absolutely,
on Sky.
Yeah. And Jodie Cunningham is the woman of steel for
she was brilliant
2021.
last night.
She was sensational in the semi-final. I did watch it. Leeds are a good side as well, though, everyone tells me. You know, Leeds and Saints, I mean, there we are. We're talking about a grand final and it's Leeds and Saints in the women's game. You know, but yeah, you're right. The women's game has come on leaps and bounds over the past couple of years, and the biggest tragedy of the World Cup being off is the fact that the women's game loses just a little bit of momentum, because I really think, from what people tell me, that England had a great chance of lifting the Women's World Cup.
Right, gents, we've run out of time and such a big week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you both at Old Trafford as well, won't you?
I know. Mark, bring you wallet. He's already looking for the Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough.
Reunited at Old Trafford on Saturday. Right, thanks for watching. Good luck for everyone in these massive games this weekend. Cannot wait. We've got a very special programme, 6 o'clock, on our YouTube and Facebook on Friday night, when we continue the build-up to, well, 2 grand finals, £1 million game and a huge game in League One as well. Remember, if you're having a bet this weekend on the rugby, please keep it fun, gamble responsibly, enjoy the action.